Sports Governance Bill has been introduced in the Lok Sabha by the Sports Minister Mansukh Mandaviya yesterday. This bill seeks to reform sports governance in the country, and it proposes two major changes. First is the formation of a National Sports Board, which will be an overarching sports body with sweeping powers to lay down rules and oversee functioning of different sports federations. The BCCI has also been brought under this legislation's ambit. The second important change is the constitution of a National Sports Tribunal, which will have the powers of a civil court. This will decide disputes ranging from selection to election involving federations and athletes. Listen in to this exclusive conversation by Senior Executive Editor Madhavdas with Olympians Gagan, Narang, Sharath, Kamal as well as Anjum, Moudgil.
And to talk more about the National Sports Governance Bill, joining us are, of course, three faces of Indian sport. With us is Gagan Narang, Olympic medalist, and, of course, the IOA Vice President. With us is Sharath Kamal, who's a former Indian table tennis player and Olympian. Also with us is Anjum Moudgil, who is an Olympian and Arjuna Awardee. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us on this very important bill. Gagan, let me begin with you. It is being seen as a landmark development because it's going to be an umbrella bill that's going to cover all sports and how they are governed in India. How do you really see this happening? Is this centralized approach? Some of the critics say that it could lead to perhaps more bureaucratic red tape, or do you feel that it will actually ease governance and ensure better sports governance in India? Gagan.
Well, I think fantastic effort and a fantastic bill that has been put forward. And mind you, and let me remind you that it's been put forward by the government after extensive deliberations with the stakeholders. And this bill is not about control. I feel this bill is about care, and the government respects the autonomy in this bill, but ensures that ethics, fairness, accountability, and there's a clear balance between freedom and responsibility. So fantastic bill, and looking forward to some good times for Indian sport.
Gagan, one of the things or one of the features that we've been seeing is that, there are hundreds of cases that various sporting bodies have, people fighting amongst each other, all sorts of things that we see. Now, with this one particular body that is expected to come in, a sports tribunal that will be headed by a Supreme Court judge, do you think that will ease a lot of the legal, tangles that sports bodies often end up getting stuck in? We know what happened with BCCI a few years ago, for instance. Just to take an example, do you think that is something that will be now a little more streamlined and a little more smoothened with the new setup?
Absolutely. I think disputes will not derail careers anymore. This doesn't apply to just sports bodies, but also sports persons, because the athletes don't have to go to court. I mean, they now get a fast-track, fair, sport-specific dispute resolution, along with all the various other governance issues that will be addressed through this National Sports Tribunal. And you must understand that transparency is not an option anymore. It is a necessity, because it covers the federations under the RTI Act. So, I mean, all this increases credibility for our federations, credibility for our sportsmen, back them up, and eventually this will end up in promotion of sport, because sponsors would like to come in, support the sport, which has good governance frameworks in place, and the sport is only going to grow from there.
Right. And, that's very, very important that you mentioned. But, Sharath, there are those who will come out and say, what about those sports that are not covered by the government? Should they necessarily be under RTI as well? What is your view on this? Because at the moment, the bill envisages all sporting bodies being covered under RTI, at least for their governance purposes.
Yeah, I think all sports should be under one umbrella. Doesn't matter big sports, small sports, so I think it's pretty important to have the policy looking at all sports equally, and at the same time, all of us have as the equal roles and responsibilities also as the national sports federations, or percolating it down to all the administrators, all the sports, all the athletes. Everybody clearly with this sports policy will be able to define the roles and responsibilities, what each one has to do, and how we can all march ahead into making India a strong sporting nation.
Absolutely, and that was going to be my next question. Anjum, I want you to come in on this because, India has been doing well as far as our various performances at different international events are concerned. But as far as our own Olympic dreams are concerned, how far does having, this kind of a legal framework become a bedrock for actually India's own Olympic dreams materializing in the future?
I think this is a major step that has been taken, which will surely work in favor of Indian athletes and Indian, sporting fraternity. And like we are eyeing to have the 2036 Olympics in India, and I'm sure, having such a strong structure. And also, I've just read that, India is amongst the top nations now to have a sports bill. So this will, make India stand out as a very strong nation legally as well, not only in terms of the athletes. And this will also, help athletes to come forward and, speak up if there is an issue. And also this would result in many more better performances at the Olympics and the international levels.
Right. Gagan, I want you to comment on this. What's the global experience when it comes to such laws and having authorities which are independent of the government, independent regulators, as is envisaged in this case? Can you cite other countries and what really the precedent is and has been experienced in other parts of the world?
Well, I think good governance practices have been popularized and decimated across all other developed sporting nations. And I think ours is no different. I think this is our moment, and this bill is the platform. And as India aims and has 2036 dreams, this bill builds the governance muscle to match our sporting talent. And that's what's important.
Right. I want you to come in on this, Sharath. What is your view on this in terms of how India now, in terms of the global stage, really will feature as one of those countries which has the kind of laws, the kind of infrastructure, at least legally speaking, which can match with the best in the world?
I think when you look at it, most of the strong sporting nations have something like this. Let it be USA, France, Germany, or the Asian countries like China, Japan. All of them have such strong governance because of these kind of bills or constitutions that's being built around them, and that actually helps nurture talent.
One of the things I find very interesting, Anjum, in the bill, I don't know if you've seen the bill, but this is 35(2). I'm reading out of the bill. It says the central government may, by an order, impose reasonable restrictions on the participation of any national team of a concerned sport in international sports competitions or participation of any individual in the activities of the national sports under extraordinary circumstances and in the interest of national security, public order and safety. And this is coming at a time where there is an open debate about whether India should be playing with Pakistan, so on and so forth. Do you think this is a very important provision that will set at rest and make it very clear what India's position will be, because it specifically talks about the interest of national security, public order and safety?
Yes, I think we have recently experienced this as a nation, how fragile everything gets when there are some, security concerns happening with other nations. And, recently we had this competition which Neeraj organized, and there were, there were talks happening that should we invite the athletes from other nations or not if there is some issue. So I think somewhere having a laid down policy or a bill would really clear-cut give an idea about what to do and what not to do. So there's no negative talks, around it. And I feel sports, as far as it's far from all the negative politics, is the best thing that can happen to a nation and to all the athletes. So, I think it's a really good step in favor of the nation's security and in favor of the sports.
I certainly agree with you. Of course, when India wins on any international platform, it's a moment for all Indians to be proud of, whatever be the discipline. But Gagan, your views on this, because there are some who would say that perhaps already it is the center that decides. This is just a formalizing of it. How do you look at this aspect, Gagan?
Well, matters of national security are paramount. And as far as participation is concerned, I think we should leave that off the field, and sportsmen and sporting tournaments should take precedence. And I think the athletes should put their best foot forward irrespective of who's coming in, who's not. I mean, when we go to the field, we never think who's coming in, who's not. We just want to go out there and perform our best. So it's best that the athlete keep politics out. But like I said, matters of national security are always paramount.
What is the impact that you foresee in that sense, Sharath? Do you see the more parents sending their children into sports as a result of such policies?